G'day everyone, Jason Foss here from the Capricornia Chamber of Commerce, here as usual with Phil Henry. Morning, Phil.
Morning, Jason.
It is the 20th of March. What month is it? Got the day, not the month. 20th of March, we're standing at the front of Customs House this morning. The sun's not out, so we can stand out here for a few minutes without melting, which is good, as long as it doesn't start raining.
No, right. I think we're safe.
What could possibly go wrong? Now, latest news is the Pulse Survey. Business Chamber Queensland's Pulse Survey was released yesterday.
Well, roughly, yep.
And of course, Phil's printed it out and studied it intensely overnight. And you've now memorised the whole report, haven't you?
I actually have.
All right, so off the top of your head, what are the highlights?
So look, this is a measurement of business confidence.
Yep.
How people feel about the general economy. And I think importantly, it's showing the difference between the September quarter and the December quarter. So you need to keep that in mind when I come to the first thing.
Okay, that is a bit confusing. So even though it's March, this applies to
the second half of last year.
October, November, December.
Yep, exactly right. But particularly the difference between the last quarter and the third quarter of 2024.
All right, gotcha. Okay.
Because the big thing that happened in the middle of that was the state election.
Yes.
So anyway.
Yes, that's right.
But what's interesting about it, so it's business sentiment. Generally, there's been a bit of an improvement overall. There's a lot more confidence about the Queensland economy than the national economy.
Okay. According to that?
According to this. With the business owners who were surveyed saying that the assessment is satisfactory for the Queensland economy, whereas still a little bit weak for the national economy. And then you've got to think about things that might have happened globally since that third quarter or during that third quarter, which will impact on business confidence, I think, for the next one.
Yeah.
We start to see that.
Yeah.
But general business confidence, reasonably satisfactory.
Okay.
Which is the interesting one. Now, I do have to flick through. So
to the other bits that you memorised.
The other bits that I memorised.
I noticed you fixed a typo on the report there too.
I did it. I hope you're watching this.
Dear. If you're interested, I will include a link to download this this report above or below this, depending on where you're watching.
Yeah. So business constraints.
Constraints is what I'm looking at. Yep.
Look at once again, the sentiment has improved a little bit. The difference between those two quarters.
Yep.
But the issues remain the same. Insurance premiums, the sound of traffic going past. Business taxes and government charges, of course. Finding suitably talented and qualified is the word I'm after. I've just read it. Employees.
Yes.
Wage cost, level of demand, economic activity we've just talked about. Compliance and complexity of business charges and legislation. That's an ongoing one, and we know that the new government has picked up on that because they're doing their red tape survey.
It's interesting that you mentioned that one, because we've been asking now for a little while about examples of red tape and tell us your red tape. And I've had two people give me some examples.
Yep.
And everybody else has grumbled about red tape and gone, yeah, I don't have any examples. So is it one of those things that people grumble about, but it isn't actually a real thing most of the time? I don't know. Nobody's telling us about it.
I can provide a bit of an insight.
Okay.
So this is a separate report, and this is a finding of a round table of the state and federal government industry advisors round table that we were involved in providing some input to. I'll go to where were we? Business owners are too overwhelmed and burnt out to seek help and learn how to run their businesses efficiently.
There is
an insight into why people can't maybe identify a specific example of red tape when we ask them, what's a specific example?
That's a very good point, actually. That is a very good point, because that's real.
Yeah, it is. No, exactly right. Yeah. The rest of it, why do chambers of commerce exist? If you're going to go into business, you need to learn about how to run a business first.
Yeah.
So we know simply from long experience, and we're not the only chamber and not the only region, a lot of people are very good at their craft, as you say. You know, you might be a florist, you might be a barista, you might be a bricklayer, you might be a lecky or something like that. Business is different. And so if you've been part of a bigger organisation and you're going to go out on your own, and we can understand why you want to, and we would encourage you to do that, we would even more encourage you to do your research, do your background, do your learning.
So you need to start with a business plan and find your black spots. Like, you can't be good at everything, and if you're really good at your craft, whatever that happens to be, and passionate about it, that's fantastic and a great starting point. But running a business is a whole different skill set. And there's a whole bunch of things I think listed.
There's a whole list. We won't go through them all, but they're the ones.
But between financial literacy, digital literacy, HR, management, all
customer service,
service, all the things you need to worry about. You can't be good at everything. Like, I don't know anybody who's good at everything. Even me, I'm not good at everything, in case you weren't aware. Okay, we're going to move on.
Astounded to hear that admission.
So it is important to seek out the help of people around you who can plug those holes, fill those gaps. And that makes me think about an example that only happened yesterday at our Gracemere Sub Committee launch. We'll talk a bit more about that later. But it's amazing what sort of serendipity can happen when you're in the same room or the same venue with other people who also have their strengths and their weaknesses as well. And we see this happen all of the time is at a networking gathering like that, somebody will meet somebody who has a need and has the ability to fill that need. It's like, oh, perfect. All right, well, we should talk more. And if you don't come to these things, and it doesn't have to be a chamber thing, there's lots of networking events out there run by a lot of different people, but you might not feel like it, and you might be tired, and you might be a bit introverted, and it might not be your thing, and I get all of that, but so much happens when you get out at these things, and you're just in the same room with people who can help you solve problems and help you fix things. Happens a lot.
It does indeed. That's our membership drive.
So yesterday, as at the time of recording this, so today's the 20th, yesterday was the 19th of March, we launched our Gracemere Sub Committee out of Gossip's Coffee in the Gracemere shopping mall there. It's not a bad turnout, and we've already had a few people put their hands up to be on the subcommittee, which is fantastic news. And I mean, one of the things that that was mentioned yesterday is Gracemere is not a suburb of Rockhampton.
Indeed.
That was made very clear.
Don't ever make that mistake.
So it's good to have a subcommittee out there on the ground because, I mean, we can't be everywhere. You know, I'm based in Rocky and Phil's based on the coast. But Gracemere's kind of got its own identity and its own personality and therefore its own kind of priorities and its own issues. So the fact that we've got a subcommittee on the ground now and Matthew Dawes put his hand up to chair that. So thank you, Matthew. Means that whatever's going on there, or whatever the needs are, whatever the issues are, you've got people on the ground there you can talk to or can organise things, but at the same time with the support of the Capricornia Chamber in its entirety. And if something happens and we need to shake somebody's tree about it, well, we can.
Yep.
Now, I spoke with a few people after the event on their way out of Gracemere Shopping Mall. It was a bit of a drab old morning and managed to find some spots to avoid getting rained on. But we'll have a quick look at those now. Here with Councillor Edward Oram. G'day, Eddie. How are you?
Good morning. Very well, thank you.
So we're at Gracemere Shopping Mall. We've had a bit of a launch of the Gracemere Sub Committee for the Chamber of Commerce. Pretty reasonable turnout. Second coffee, so I'm almost awake. It's early morning, so I don't know. So I had a pretty good turnout this morning, and one of the things I mentioned was that Gracemere has probably been underrepresented by the Chamber of Commerce over the last few years. We haven't had much of a presence out here to speak of. But despite that pretty good turnout, a number of people put their hands up to help out, you know, on the Gracemere Subcommittee. And I know the Gracemere is a growing area, so it's sort of really good to have that footprint here. Have you sort of noticed anything about the growth or the opportunities in Gracemere here?
Oh, look, the opportunities have been fantastic. I've seen the Gracemere community grow in the last 12 months extremely well. We're seeing more business, we're getting more shops, we're getting development applications coming through council. So this is really a growth area, and anything that the subcommittee and commerce can do to help grow Gracemere, I'm well happy to get behind.
All right, that's excellent. Yeah. So there's definitely it's definitely a growth corridor, and there's definitely stuff going on. So if you're a Gracemere-based business and you weren't here this morning, make sure you contact Matthew Doyle. We'll have his contact details around here, or contact me, and we'll get you involved just to help, you know, open the pathways, set up the connections to help make things happen.
Oh, very much. Any local businesses out there that want to get into the commerce and be part of our growth, I'm a huge advocate, and I'd really like you to come down and be a part of it as well.
All right. Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you, Jason.
I'll talk again soon.
Sounds good.
See you later.
See you, mate.
Out here at Gracemere Shopping Mall this morning with Marsha from Stolen Grace. How are you, Marsha?
I'm very well, sir.
Now, Marsha has got some exciting news. You've just started something.
Yes, I'm about to.
Well, tell us what you're starting.
So, I'm starting a fashion retail, and like we said, it's Style and Grace. It's mainly women's fashion, but we've got men interested, so I'm about to throw some men's stuff in there. And I've got one of my beautiful cotton. It's actually cotton, all cotton fabric.
Doubling up as a model today?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I had to put this together to come, but yeah. So that's what we're doing, and I'm about to do a pop-up next week on the 27th and 28th here in Gracemere Shopping Centre.
So that's, which days is that?
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday. All right, no worries. Now, you were telling me as well, you made your first sale yesterday, didn't you?
I did first sales yesterday. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. It didn't settle in until I got home and realized that business has made some transactions yesterday.
We've been in business for nearly 30 years now, 28 years, whatever it was, but I still remember the first sale. Like, that's a really exciting thing when you go into your business yourself, that first transaction. I won't say it, but we actually still remember the name of our first customer. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's congratulations. That's a really special thing.
Thank you.
So you're here next Thursday and Friday. Okay, and that's
straight through, right opposite from.
So on the corner where Gossips is.
Exactly.
So
TV Games just right there.
Is it just the 2 days at the moment, or are you going to be here kind of every week, or we're just kind of seeing how it goes?
At the moment, those 2 days, and then we see how it goes.
Okay.
I still want to be in Gracemere. That's my hype at the moment. So if Gracemere is giving me the pop-up space, let's say we'll go from there.
Okay. All right. So that's next Thursday and Friday, the 27th
27 and 28.
Okay. Make sure you get out here and say hello to Marsha. You're in the very early stages of this business. So maybe she'll remember your name in 30 years' time as you're one of her early customers. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Good luck, Marsha.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Out at Gracemere Shopping Mall this morning, here with Matthew Doran, who has put his hand up to chair our Gracemere Sub Committee. So we sort of launched that this morning and had a pretty good turnout. So what are your thoughts around, what are your plans? What do you think you'd like to achieve?
So,
question without notice, I didn't tell him I was going to say that.
so I think the idea is to create a channel for Gracemere businesses to connect together, to work out what challenges we need to solve together, to work out how to walk together as business owners on that what can be a lonely journey, but also what do we need as a business community together out here to help businesses in Gracemere thrive? But we get to kill two birds with one stone, if you will, in that we have a localised committee, a localised group working together while still having all of the infrastructure of an established Chamber of Commerce in place. And you get the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because I mean, last thing I want to do is micromanage what Matthew and the team do out here. And you've got a closer connection to what's going on. So whether that's morning meetings or afternoon meetings, or Gracemere, as you said before, Gracemere has its own identity. It's apparently it's not a suburb of Rockhampton.
Yeah, no, don't tell us it's a suburb.
I didn't say it's
out of town.
Rockhampton. So its own identity, and I guess its own issues, wish list.
Absolutely.
What does Gracemere want?
Yeah.
And so via Matthew here, that's a way to help gather that info, run it up the chain if you like. So the next time media calls me, or a politician calls me, or somebody calls me and says what's going on, I'll actually be able to provide them with an answer that includes what's happening in Gracemere.
Yeah.
Which we haven't been able to do that much to date, and of course that's something that we had to address.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's lots of different opportunities for what we can do out here, from that social aspect, from the advocacy aspect, from the just general business support aspect. Talking to Councillor Oram, who's our local councillor out here this morning, he's very supportive of the subcommittee out here, and lots of ideas, lots of opportunities now that we can work together with the Chamber and having that infrastructure in place already to really support businesses in this Gracemere community.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a growth corridor out here at the moment. Lots of development applications in the pipeline and things happening. So this is a great avenue for giving Gracemere its own voice without having to reinvent the wheel and reproduce a lot of stuff that the Chamber of Commerce already has in place. So it's a win-win. Look forward to speaking with you further and more news coming out of Gracemere. Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks very much.
We will talk to you next time.
Sure will.
Right, so that's a few people we spoke to at Gracemere yesterday. Now, if you're in Gracemere and you weren't there, I'd encourage you to reach out to myself or Matthew, get involved, join the chamber. Let's make sure that, you know, what's happening out of Gracemere, the growth or the impediments to growth or whatever the case may be, that we're on top of it and we can help make things happen. And in a similar vein, I'd love to see a subcommittee on the coast as well. So if you're watching this on the Capricorn coast and you feel like that you're also not a suburb of Rockhampton, that might set off some comments maybe. Yeah, I'd love a couple of people there to put their hand up. Similar kind of thing. You've got your own issues,
identity and issues.
Identity. So rather than have to reproduce efforts, you know, you don't need a separate bank account and treasurer and all that kind of stuff. But you can have a group of people who want to see things happen on the coast or want to help make things happen, and then we can help you make that happen. So if you're interested in finding out a bit more about that, please let me know. I'll have to have a chat about how we can, you know, help the coast do its own thing with the support of the chamber.
Or you can possibly catch me at one of my favourite coffee shops most mornings.
Yeah, Phil's not too hard to find down there a lot of the time. Now, the Olympic rowing has been in the news a little bit lately, and that's been considered by there's a subcommittee, I think, or a committee deciding those venues this week. Now, I know they're looking at sailing on the coast, and to be honest, I'm not really across that bit, so I don't know how that stacks up. But I have seen some comparisons for getting the rowing in Rockhampton here rather than down south. And if you look at the comparisons, you know, we've got some infrastructure here. There need to be a little bit more, but we've got a starting point of infrastructure. We're very close to town. There's communications. There's some accommodation nearby. It would cost them a lot less to hold it here rather than hold it in the sort of the Greenfields location they've got earmarked down south, which is in the middle of nowhere and miles from everywhere. They've got to kind of build everything. And in terms of legacy outcomes afterwards, again, it's in the middle of nowhere. We got a really good case for that. It really stacks up. So if the announcement comes through later this week, or early next week, whenever they make the announcement that it is in fact down south, I would be really curious to see their logic and their reasoning behind it, other than, let's keep all their money down near Brisbane and not spend it in the regions. Like, what other reason is there for having it down there rather than up here? Every logical reason says have it here. So I will be looking at that very closely, and I'll be pretty disappointed if they come up with a really compelling reason why it's being held down in Brisbane or southeast Queensland instead of the regions. It's just, is this going to be another case of that? I really hope not.
Exactly. So we're nearly coming up to the end of the month, Jason. So what happens at the end of the month?
Coffee happens at the end of the month.
Well, as you say,
coffee happens all through the
time. But
all through the month.
But the last Wednesday of the month is the Chamber Coffee. So that's next Wednesday is the last Wednesday of the month. And next Wednesday is the 26th of March. And the location for this coffee is at the Tamby Garden Centre, mate. Do you know where that is?
Tamby. I could probably drive there again. I can't think of the name of the street. It doesn't matter. You need to RSVP on the website anyway. So I've got your coffee order in there. I think it's Tamby Road, isn't it?
It's on Tamby Road, definitely.
You know how you drive to places and you know how to get there, but in terms of the name of the street, I think it's Tamby Road.
No, it is.
It isn't.
I can confirm it's on Tamby Road.
It kind of makes sense, I suppose. Tamby Garden Centre on Tamby Road. Anyway, I went for the first time in January. Can't believe it's the first time I've been there because it's a beautiful little oasis there. And I did ask the lady there how she pronounced. There's a coffee van there, like a permanent on-site coffee van. And I'm going to mess up the pronunciation. Hygge Coffee, I guess. Hygge.
Yes.
It is Hygge.
Which is warmth and something feeling. You're a bloody Scandinavian. You should know that word.
I should. I think it's or Danish.
Or Swedish. One of those.
Yeah, one of those.
allow us to display our complete ignorance in front of all of you.
In case you didn't realise, we just turn the camera on and make stuff up as we go.
We do indeed. But I've seen that word. It became a bit of a thing a couple of years ago.
Yes.
You know how things become things?
Bit of a...
You know, when I say thing, you know what
Is that
I mean?
the title of this episode?
That's right.
Things become things. Okay, we got a little bit sidetracked there, which is kind of unusual for us, but it's a great little spot.
Yep.
And I realise this may be a little bit out of the way for some of you, but really, if you've never been there before, make the effort. It's worth it.
No.
The coffee's good. The environment is amazing. It's really nice. So that's, now this is a 7:30 start, not a 7 a.m. start. It's a little bit later than usual because the Tampi Garden Centre don't open till 7:30. So don't get there at 7 because you'll have a half-hour wait in the car park. 7:30, and given the fact that we're starting at 7:30, some of us may well hang around till 9ish if that's the way the morning goes. But at the same time, rock up, have your coffee, and if you've got to keep going, we understand that. Keep going, even if you're only there for half an hour. But yeah, we'll just finish when we finish.
Good little spot. Mark and I do we do our garden shopping there. So
do you? Yeah,
and
okay.
what they've built there undercover is brilliant.
Oh, it's just amazing little spot, isn't it? Yeah. So if you've never been there, come check it out. It's really good.
Please do.
So that's next Wednesday. Other things on the horizon are we're gearing up for Small Business Month in May. Tanya has got the feelers out for a special speaker. Hopefully she can have a win. I'm just going to drop that teaser there. You'll know this speaker. Fingers crossed. We're being a little bit ambitious, I suppose, but you got to shoot for the stars.
Shoot for the stars. Yep, to hit the moon.
That's the one. That's the one. And April's Coffee will be back in Rockhampton again. Venue to be confirmed a little bit after that.
Yep.
But the Small Business Month in Yeppoon, Small Business Month in May will have events in Rocky and Yeppoon, probably a day apart. Assuming, fingers crossed that we can get this speaker. So there'll be event in both locations. So that's something to look forward to as well. Watch this space.
Yep.
I think we've exhausted our to-do list for this morning, have we?
I feel exhausted. Quite exhausted.
I was going to say, it's not even 10 o'clock yet.
Standing up and talking. And the thinking.
Oh, no.
The thinking about things.
That's the worst part, isn't it?
Things.
Because if you think about things, they become things.
They become things.
I think we might call it quits there.
All right. So it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from me.
Okay, see ya.